have joining us in the studio Olumide Akinsola. He's country director at Digitax Nigeria. Olumide, good afternoon. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
You can't intimidate me on my set. I will take it.
I promise I did not plan to do that.
So tell us about this e-invoicing. It's been on. I know they started it. That's the NRS.
Yes.
At the Nigerian Revenue Service. It's part of the reforms and all of that. Tell us how it's been adopting it and what you have noticed.
Thank you. Thank you very much, first of all, for having me. This is one of the initiatives of the NRS. They are trying to streamline how tax administration happens in the corporate world, in the economy in Nigeria. So the e-invoicing policy is actually not new. It's just new being implemented in Nigeria. But worldwide, it's a big thing. There are multi-billion-dollar companies whose job only is e-invoicing. And on the continent, you have countries like Kenya and Zambia, where Digitax started from, actually, Namiri Technology. You have South Africa, you have Ghana, a bunch of other companies who already have this policy up and running, and they are in a different stage of maturity than Nigeria that just started it a few months ago. So what it means is that every time you raise an invoice for your business, or invoice used loosely in this case, but anything that signals proof of a transaction that's happening between two entities within the Nigerian business space, that proof, that invoice, could be invoice, could be a credit note, could be a bill of lading, could be anything really. Whatever it is that is proof of a transaction that's happening between two entities, those things, that invoice now needs to be transmitted to a platform called the Merchant Buyer Solution that the NRS has built, and they encourage every business to set up an account on the MBS. And so in terms of the rollout, it's been phased. So there's three categories of taxpayers: the large taxpayers, the medium taxpayers, and then the emerging taxpayers.
I think it's the large that has started. The medium is starting next month or so? July?
Actually, both the large and the medium are in scope, but the large taxpayers are in their compliance enforcement period, which ends at the end of this month. So if you are not compliant by June 30th, from July 1st, you are officially in the region where the NRS can begin to issue fines. And the fines are quite extensive. There's a 200,000 naira fine, and then there is which is the most important bit, the VAT allocation or the VAT treatment on each invoice that you do not transmit also turns into a fine.
Sometimes when I hear all of this, and I know you did mention that countries that are supposed to be smaller than Nigeria are already implementing it. But facing our own reality, where we expect this from these companies, there's a technical upgrade that's needed. I've attended one of the workshops by NRS, to educate them. But we know it can't be enough. So I'm just curious about the technical upgrade that businesses have had to do. And now that we're counting down to the deadline, how they are able to adapt to it and sustain it.
Thank you very much. So it's not as much a technical upgrade as much as it is a little bit of a reorientation where their workflows are concerned. So how the e-invoicing policy works is that there's two licenses which you have to get at a service provider. For Digitax, we have both licenses. There is the system integration function and the access points provider function. Both licenses are it's in the value chain of the e-invoicing. What's really happening is that as a business, you are creating an account on the Merchant Buyer Solution, and then your profiles on your ERPs or your accounting systems, anywhere that your invoices are generated from, even from your Excel sheets and all of these other things, those two platforms need to be able to communicate, which is where Digitax comes in, and a bunch of other providers also who have been licensed by the NRS actually. But Digitax comes in to connect your ERPs to the MBS platform so that invoice transmission and information can flow back and forth between those two platforms. And the system integration function seeks to configure those systems, those accounting systems, those ERPs, to carry and generate invoices in the format and in the schema that the NRS mandates. And then the second function, which is the access point provider function, now takes these configured invoices from that platform and transmits them to your account on the MBS on your behalf. So it's an end-to-end function. However, you are not really required to do much. You already have an ERP. You probably already have a team that services and manages that ERP. You're installed that ERP. You probably already have a team person in your finance team who handles all of this. So once you have all of that, what you then need is just to now talk to us at Digitax, for instance, and then you're able to take this information and the Digitax APIs that are sitting on the infrastructure that the NRS has provided, and then connect them to your ERPs. Once you do that and you fix the system integration function and the access point provider function, then every time you generate an invoice, it automatically transmits to the NRS. That is the real time, the ideal situation. However, there are some situations where some people don't have ERPs, or their ERPs take a long while before they can be integrated, or they're just like, we want an option that allows us to not connect our
ERPs because even our election results, you can have real-time transmissions. So.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So in that case, we have a solution that sits between your profile and then the NRS account. It's called the Digitax Dashboard for us. A bunch of other people also have other solutions.
I know a couple of you have been approved by the NRS.
Yes,
to work with
so the solutions are available. Ours is the best in the market. Just shout that out.
Oh, please.
But yes, those solutions sit to be the layer through which, as a business, you can go on those solutions. You can create profiles on those solutions. They are already integrated and connected. So
but what do the businesses stand to gain? Because we're just talking about NRS now.
Yes.
If you want incentive, you want the businesses to adopt it, then they have to be gaining something.
Yes. There's a bunch of things that's important to state as benefits to the business. One is that your audit trails are now, the technology is now enable you to see your audit trail in real time, right? So you know what your tax position is, what your VAT position is, what your WHT position is, all of these things. You know what they are in real time. You are now not filing papers inside cabinets during an audit. Because what typically happens is an auditor would come and then they would open one big cabinet in an office and bring out all these dusty files and they'll start looking through them to find one invoice or the other. Here, every invoice has an IRN, which is unique to it, and every invoice carries a QR code. So what happens is that IRN, you can just put it in a computer page and say, it will find that invoice for you automatically. Less money spent on paper and files, less personnel spent, or personnel energy or resources spent opening cupboards and bringing out and dusting files.
But don't forget the initial capital. Don't forget the initial.
Yes, but it's not that expensive in the grand scheme of things. If you think about what you benefit as a business, there's also a bunch of other benefits. Part of the e-invoicing rollout is that you are now, if your invoices were not transmitted to the MBS, you are now unable to claim VAT inputs, right? So you also want to do that because if you don't do that, you are actually leaking cash from your business because you can't claim those VAT inputs back as well. Also, it's just generally much easier. Your business stops
and refined
being...
anyway.
Exactly. It stops being traditional. It becomes
all right,
cooler,
Olumide Akinsola, thank you so much. You're out of time. Digitax Nigeria. Yes. Thank you so much.
Well, Namiri Technology. Digitax is the product. I need to always make that. But yes, Namiri Technology Nigeria is a licensed entity here.
Okay.
Digitax is just a product that we have
Namiri Technology Limited. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you for having me.
All right.